Welcome to Sailing Avanti. We are Gerard and Jacqueline, sailing our 41-foot monohull Avanti around the world from Cape Town, South Africa.
It's early here in Jolly Harbour. The sun is barely up, but we are on our way to Barbuda, so we need to get an early start. So it's just it's about 30 nautical miles, so it should be just a few hours. It's very calm this morning though, so it might take a little bit longer than planned. But we need to get there in sunlight because the charts aren't very well done. So we need to get there early.
In the rush to get an early start from Antigua, we actually left Blast OP behind the boat and we ended up towing her all the way to Barbuda. Luckily we did remove the outboard the previous day and she took on a little bit of water but survived the trip.
We are on our way to Barbuda. We hoisted the sails a little while ago. The wind was really light when we left Jolly Harbour, but we have about 17 knots true wind at the moment. We've got 2 reefs in the main and the Genoa has pulled in a little bit and we're doing about 6.5, 7 knots. So we should be there in about, 5 hours maybe, if we keep the pace up. So yeah, really good sailing at the moment. We will probably be out of the lee of the island soon, so the swell might pick up a bit.
With 1 or 2 squalls around us, the wind kept on building and we had to quickly adjust the sails when the wind picked up to about 25 knots. For the last few miles into Barbuda, it is recommended that you closely follow the leading lines that's shown on the nautical charts. Some of these waters are not well charted, and these help you to stay out of trouble with some shallow reefs in the area.
Barbuda can barely be seen from far away. Only the thin white strip of Diana Beach can be seen once you're almost on top of it. I know the ocean is blue, but it felt like Barbuda's blue was just different. And as soon as we threw anchor, I was in the water, trying to catch one of the huge turtles we'd see every day. Too slow for them, I was still able to see these remoras cleaning our hull, a job that's still on our list, and a friendly ray that came to say welcome. There's honestly very little that Gerard can't fix. Our portside nav light on the bow or in the front of the boat stopped working on our way to Antigua, and we went to Budget Marine while we were there, and they're super expensive, over 300 EC a light, and we wanted to buy a spare starboard and stern light too, but not at that price. So my super handy hubby has fixed the light. Now he's just busy trying to make it waterproof again, and fingers crossed it lasts us another few hundred miles.
Princess Diana Beach is on the leeward side of the island on the southwestern side, but it's just a short walk to the windward side where we saw a pelican diving close to the beach to catch some fish.
There are only 3 public places one can walk to from Princess Diana Beach. First is Nobu, an international seafood chain, only open for lunch. Most people fly here with a chopper from Antigua for their meal. Next, and furthest of them, was Uncle Roddy's. We did not realize what the distance would be, or how painful it would be to walk here. The worst part, we were completely underdressed since we heard it was a local hangout.
Almost there. Almost.
It exists! On the way back, we saw these critters on the rocks and have no idea what they are. So if you do, please leave us a comment.
The last and most important place was Shaka Kai. Shaka Kai is a small beach pub that sells beer during the day and cooks up a mean lobster at night. You have to bring your own plates, cutlery and sides though, as he just grills the lobster and serves it as is. The lobster was so much compared to the other places we've seen on the islands, and such good value for money. Places like these are also great to meet other sailors that's on passage or that's exploring the Caribbean. We met some great people with a lot of experience that gave us very good suggestions on some of our next planned destinations. Enoch, the owner of Shaka Kai, is also the gateway to the rest of the island for most of the yachties. He can organize a taxi or even organize a tour to another destination on the island.
Looks delicious. Crayfish on the beach.
We were, however, so in love with this beach that we decided we will stay here and spend our budget on the lobster and not go for one of his tours.
Many days were spent in these crystal clear waters, where the only thing following us were our shadows. On Barbuda, one cannot purchase land unless you are of local heritage. But of course, the rich find their ways around this, and one can now lease land for almost 200 years if you build a house on it. Beaches are public, but only to the waterline, where we saw the private property signs being put up. Sadly, things are changing on this beach quite rapidly, and if we were ever to return, I don't think we would see the free roaming horses that I fell in love with. The island is also home to nesting sea turtles, wild boar, guinea birds, deer, and many wild donkeys, horses, and large cattle who live here sustainably in their own habitat.
Today we're tasting another lager beer. It's also one that's found throughout the Caribbean, but we've only seen it really in the shops in Antigua. It's called a Banks and it is brewed in Barbados. It's similar to the other lagers. It's a light lager, 4.7% alcohol. It comes in bottles or 330ml cans. So the size is a little bit better than the other very small beers of 250 milliliters. It's a nice clear and light lager. Taste is definitely not compared to my favorite lagers. So again, for me, not a great tasting lager, but beer is beer, and if it's cold and you're on the islands, it's always good to have. So I would rate this one in terms of the taste and the size and the cost, which is similar to the others, $1.50 in the shop. And we haven't really seen these at pubs, so not sure what they do cost at pubs, but I would give this one a 6 out of 10. It's our last evening in Barbuda, and we really fell in love with this beach. It is absolutely gorgeous, and we're having a beach bride tonight to, for old time's sake, to say goodbye.
For dinner, I made mashed potatoes, and on the fire, we braai or barbecued the last of our boerewors from South Africa. We also have some Chilean wine and a red stripe beer, of course, for Gerard. It's been 4 months since we started our journey, and this is the last of the meat we brought in our freezer. With the lobster dinner, we had the last of our rice. We celebrate a turning point. Not only is it time to make the journey south out of the hurricane belt, but it's also time to find some large supermarkets to restock our food supplies. As soon as the sun sets, the stars and the anchor lights start lighting up the sky once more. What a sunset! It was worth every mosquito bite.
We make an early start and feed our Amora some of our last leftover bread before making our way back to Antigua. We expect some light winds for the day, and we have to make our way back to Antigua to clear out, as we cannot clear out in Barbuda before heading to the next island. Our 30 nautical miles back to Antigua starts with motoring along the leading lines to make sure we clear all shallow reefs around the island. As soon as we clear these reefs, we let out the full Genoa in very light northerly winds, which is uncommon for this time of year, and we motor sail most of the way back to Antigua. We have to get back to Antigua's jolly harbour to clear out, as you can't clear out in Barbuda at the moment.
Feel free to share this week's video with your family or friends, or leave us a comment of what you liked most.
If you'd like to receive notifications of when these videos are launched, please subscribe to our channel in YouTube. Our Patreon link is given in the description below the YouTube video. Join us in the next episode as we head to St. Lucia and face some strange currents while sailing between the islands.